Welcome to the Port to Port podcast with Ronan.
Welcome back to the Port to Port podcast, where we set sail through stories of travel, cruises, and the people who live and breathe it. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome a true queen of cruise content, Sheri Griffiths from CruiseTipsTV. Whether you've packed with her help, watched one of her cruise reviews, or joined her for a YouTube live stream, you know the energy she brings to the cruising. Sheri, welcome to the show.
Oh, Ronan, thank you so much. I love that. That was a really nice intro. You made me feel good. I'm excited to be here. Can't wait to chat cruise with you and your awesome listeners.
Thanks so much. So Sheri, let's take everybody back to the beginning. What made you start Cruise Tips TV, and did you ever imagine it becoming what it is today?
Yeah, I absolutely can do that. We started back in 2013. At the time, cruise content creation really wasn't a thing. You know, there were maybe a few people on YouTube making videos about travel, but otherwise I don't remember it even being a concept. But it really wasn't our intention. We just thought, we've been on some cruises and we felt like we had amassed a bit of packing knowledge. And my husband's like, gosh, it would be fun to just have like a travel related hobby. What would you think about maybe making a YouTube video? And we're like, wow, that's interesting. What could we make that about? Oh, maybe packing. And so we decided our first video ever was packing, and it's still my passion to this day to talk about packing. And it did blossom from there. Definitely never thought that it would become something that was full-time for me. In fact, I kept my full-time job for 10 years before I left and did this full-time, a job that I was in for 26 years. So it was a hobby turned passion project turned full-time job, and it's truly fun. It is a lot of work. I know it looks glamorous because people are thinking, oh, you get to travel all the time and you're cruising all the time, and it is true. It is a dream lifestyle, but if you think about it, you're kind of always working. So I think those of us who are in this business, we realize, okay, you have to teach yourself how to give yourself downtime and think about times when you're not capturing content and go all the time when you're on a cruise, because you've got to rest and you've got to take breaks and rejuvenate just like everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like it's anytime I go away, I always like try to have time where I'm just doing things myself, but then try and have time where I'm like, okay, I need to take pictures and I need to do things so I can upload it and do that kind of thing as well.
And you get excited. You want to share, right? When you're doing something exciting, 100%. It's very hard not to whip out a camera and capture that moment, right?
100%. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Was there like maybe a specific cruise for you where you guys were like, okay, this is more than just a hobby. This could be a business now. Like how many cruises in were you?
Whoa, I think it was more of a subtle progression, because we probably could have made the decision for me to take it full time and not have it be a hobby anymore a lot sooner than we did. But just thinking about things like health insurance coverage, which are challenging in the United States and pricey, and also just thinking about saving for retirement and letting go of that security blanket. So I think that for me, when we really decided to take it more full-time, even though we were really creating a lot of content before I left my job anyway, it didn't really change. But I think that when we moved states, that was more of a turning point than when it was a certain cruise. It wasn't so much like, okay, we went on this cruise and we got great views, because it's never really been that way for us. We've never had a viral video. We've never had a video that's got 1 million views. It's never been like a super hot, flashy success. It's been a slow process with organic growth. And I think it was when we moved states, when we decided to move from California to Texas, that we decided to put the pedal to the metal and treat it more like a full-time venture.
Okay. And I suppose a lot of your content feels like it's not just about influencers, it's for everybody. Has that always been a part of your approach to making the videos?
Yeah, for sure. We definitely try to serve our target market of both people who are new to cruise, but also seasoned cruisers who have maybe morphed into a phase of life where they cruise frequently and they know the basics, but they perhaps enjoy coming back for maybe some packing videos and packing tips, or they like seeing new destination stuff, or maybe a full ship or stateroom tour. So they're a little bit less needing cooking and educational content, like, you know, what should I do on the first day of my cruise, and more like, okay, what did Sheri and her husband wear on their cruise, and what new suitcases are you passionate about right now, and what did you do in Cozumel? So we try to keep it fresh for people of all levels.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. So like you guys have got like you've got Instagram, you're on YouTube, you've got your website, you've got Amazon storefronts. How do you balance it all? Like, what's a typical week like for you?
Yeah, it is interesting too, and I think sometimes we do have a difficult time balancing it. It's not easy. I am not as organized, honestly, Ronan, as I'd like to be. I don't have a set schedule for myself every week. There is quite a bit of routine and repetitiveness that goes into it, where it's like, okay, you know, we're going to be on Amazon at this time. You know, we're going to be on YouTube at that time. But a typical week, usually we'll try to take more of a weekendy type day off during the week, when we can go and experience things like retail and restaurants when it's less crowded. So we generally work creating content a good 5 to 6 days of the week. A typical day would be, you know, up in the morning, honestly, prioritizing exercise though, and prioritizing healthy eating and stuff has become way more important to us, so we can stay healthy when we travel. Because one of the downsides of traveling a lot is you can get sick a lot. So we as a family have worked really hard to try to keep that as part of our life. And then a lot of times the morning I'll do a lot of business stuff. So I will sit at my computer, I will find Amazon links that I want to share for that day. I will upload new Amazon shoppable content, maybe a video of a suitcase I took on a trip and or a toiletry bag and what I loved about it. And all those quiet office-y type tasks will be done more early in the day. And then when everybody's kind of up, Adam fed, exercised, my son's doing school, whatever, you know, we'll jump into more of the stuff that requires more production value. So typically in the morning, it's Amazon Live first. So get the hair and the makeup done and get camera ready. And then if I still have any energy after that, because it's a lot, it's like being a host, you know, it can take it out of you. Recording a YouTube video maybe once a week, and then launching into editing a video, which my husband and I both do. So he'll be editing more complex videos like ship tours and things that take time and that are more cinematic. And I do the easy, fluffy stuff, like, you know, the packing videos where they're fun and easy. You know, within all of that, we're recording a podcast generally once a week and meeting up with our Patreon community about once a month, and social posts as needed. But I think we have a pretty good balance maintaining our house. You know, we've got some acreage out here and an older house that need a lot of work. So it's also kind of keeping, you know, you got health and home and work all balanced together, but we seem to do okay.
Oh, that's good. No, that's good. It's always good to kind of see how other people are kind of working around their day, and especially when travel is mixed in with it all as well.
That's when it all goes awry, right? When you're traveling and trying to do it all, because you can get really behind, and we get behind, but we do try to maintain some semblance of normalcy when we're traveling. Like if we can, when we can, if the internet's strong enough, we'll still do Amazon Live. We'll still try to record a podcast, just handheld, nothing fancy, but it's tough because you get home and you're like, I've got all this stuff to organize and edit, and I'm so behind on my schedule. So yeah,
like that's it, because like next week I'm going to Portugal for a week, so I'm trying to organize, okay, what am I doing beforehand, get the podcast organized, then plan what I'm going to do while I'm away, and there's all that kind of stuff then as well. So it's like now because like at the end of the year, well, not even the end of the year, in August I'm going to Japan, I'm going to Korea, so there's a bit of planning behind that as well.
Are you doing cruises in Japan and Korea? Are you doing cruise in the area?
Yeah, so cruise with Celebrity on Celebrity Millennium out of Yokohama, but we're going to Tokyo first for a week, so that we've got a full week to explore Tokyo, and then it's a 12-night cruise as well, so like we get to see everything. So it's nearly 3 weeks in total, so it's amazing. Have you been to Tokyo?
I've been to Yokohama. I actually haven't spent a lot of time in Tokyo, but I'd love to do that. And some of my friends did it and said that this is hilarious, you'll love this, they let ChatGPT plan their entire week in Tokyo. And I was like, that is bold, but it's actually a really good idea because it's totally overwhelming. But you'll have to let me know what you think, and you'll have to tell me all the hot spots.
Yeah, like, because I think we're staying in Shinjuku, but like from talking to a load of different people about it that have been there, like you need to spend like a whole day in each little area because it's like one big city at each little area. So we're not going to see all of it, but I think the idea of doing, like, what I love about the cruising is the fact that you get to see a piece of it like over those 12 days as well. So you're getting to see a good portion of the island.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so much. And the people are just so amazing. It's my favorite cruise destination by far.
Okay. So yeah, like that's my fear, that it's going to be that good that I'm going to want to go back. But the cost of getting there is crazy. It's so expensive. Like, to go from Ireland, I had to go from Cork to London, London to Japan. So it's only 2 flights, but those 2 flights return is over €2,000 each.
Each? So 4,000 total?
Just for the flights. Yeah.
Oh no.
And it's not even like August wouldn't even be peak. Like now is kind of peak because it's like
spring flowers,
cherry blossoms, and all the rest of it. Yeah, so it's crazy. Like,
does it calm down in the fall for you for airfare? Can you get cheaper air in the fall?
Like, I've gone to a load of different places at different times of the year. Like last year we were in Brazil, and like we flew to Brazil from London. Again, we went Cork, London, London direct to Sao Paulo. But that still was maybe €1,500 each. That was still 3,000 just for the flights.
Ooh.
Yeah. So now that was with British Airways. Like, we could have gotten this slightly cheaper, but the travel involved in it is too hectic, because we'd have to have flown to Portugal, and then Portugal across, and you're flying with a different airline that you wouldn't know much about. So it's a bit weird.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I was going to say, can you get yourself somewhere like Rome where it could be cheaper, and then maybe fly to, I'm trying to think of other places you could go. But yeah, it is expensive. I thought we had it bad. It's about $1,800 to $2,000 round trip in the summer months from Dallas, and I thought that was bad, but it sounds like it's double for you.
Yeah, I think it's just like depending on where you're going, depending on who you're flying. Like, we're flying with Japan Airlines.
Yes.
We could have gone out of Dublin, and we could have gone Dublin to like the Emirates or Qatar or one of those places, and we would have had a stop over there. But we wouldn't have like, by the time I put in getting up to Dublin, paying for the car park or paying for the transport to get to Dublin, it would just still cost me the same amount of money to go up there. So it's just easier just because Cork Airport's like 25 minutes from my house, so it's a lot closer.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, it's so expensive.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It was more expensive to do just the flight than it was for a 12-night cruise. It's insane. It really is insane. So we'll go back to like, how do you decide? I suppose when you're doing your content, what do you decide to, like, what content you're going to focus on? Is it driven by community questions, or is it driven by like trends at the moment?
Yeah, we focus more on education and community questions, not as much trends. I don't really jump into things like news and controversy. It's just not my joy. I could do it, but it's not my style. It's not what I love to do. And I also don't like the idea of having to stay up on something daily. You know, I admire the people who do cruise news constantly, but I just can't. I can't produce that kind of daily content. So yeah, cruise questions, and I'll also form content around what performs well, right? Like, we used to vlog all the time, and 2 things happened with vlogging. People sort of cooled off with vlogging. They stopped watching it as much, and it also became very exhausting for us to do. So it was kind of a hard decision, because they'll always say, well, I miss your vlogs, and I'll have to counter that with, well, people kind of stopped watching it. And for me to take every day of my vacation and turn the camera around and then have it not perform when this is a full-time business, I can't do that. So what we try to do is do a wrap-up video. So instead of doing a vlog every day, I'll sit in my room at the end of a cruise and talk about the whole thing. So every single port, what I did, what the excursions were, what the food was like, what the entertainment, and that is it's like a giant vlog, you know, like a 20-minute wrap up with some tips and tricks. But a lot of our content, we do pillars of content. So we'll choose from the same pillars of content on every single cruise. So you're usually going to get a pack with me or a packing tips type of video. You're going to get some kind of a review / vlog overview, maybe a ship tour, maybe a cabin tour, maybe a cabin organization tips tour. And those pillars make it a lot easier to say, well, there you go. I know I'm automatically going to do those 5 videos every time I go on a cruise. So there's 5 pieces of content that people respond well to, and then get creative from there. Highlight a deeper look at an excursion maybe, or a topic that is something that's heavily searched, like best cruise excursions for Alaska, or cruise mistakes for Alaska. Sometimes making videos about mistake avoidance is also good. And also just general tips and tricks about a particular cruise line or a particular thing. Like I was saying, those Alaska tips and tricks, or Holland America tips and tricks for this particular year is also repeatable and very, very helpful, and answers a broad range of people's questions all at once. That's usually how we decide. We actually don't reinvent all the time until something stops working, and then we do.
Okay, well, yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, no, it's definitely good to see like how other people are kind of what they're coming up with, or as you said with the vlogs, if they're not working, why bother do it? Just if 1 or 2 people want it, that's fine. But if you're not getting the big audience for it, then
yeah,
I suppose.
And people. Even if you stop enjoying doing something, people also sense that. They know if you are like, I'm not into this and I'm just doing it anyway, that is very evident to your audience. So I think you have to trust yourself too, and know when to stop if something's not working.
Okay, yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, because I suppose you don't want to be too robotic either, just by doing it then that way either.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you think about the cruise lines at the moment? What are you loving? I know you're on Aqua. We'll talk about Aqua in a second, but like, apart from Aqua, is there any kind of standouts from other sailings that you've done?
Oh man, there have been some really interesting sailings in the last year or so that I've done that are just phenomenal. Some newer experience, I experienced the Haven on Norwegian, which blew me away. Not something I would normally budget for, to be honest, but I got to do 3 nights in the Haven, and that was new for me. And that was eye-opening and phenomenal, and hashtag goals, right? Like, let's get ourselves to a point where we can do this all the time, kind of a thing. Also had a really incredible experience cruising on MSC in the Middle East. That was new and different. I love that area, and I feel so safe there. And I loved being in the UAE. Dubai, UAE, Qatar, even the private destination Surbani Yas was outstanding. Another ship that I really enjoyed cruising on in the last year was Sun Princess. Totally new, very disruptive for Princess, nothing like her predecessors, totally different layout. I think it shook people up a little bit who were, Princess cruisers. So, yeah, that was exciting too, and I'm excited for that new ship to come out. And then, I'm trying to think of what else. I think those are the first things that come to mind. And you're right, Aqua is a total topic of its own.
Yeah, so I was like, I know we're going to definitely talk about Aqua in a minute. But yeah, so like I did the Dubai cruise. That was the second cruise I ever did, was out of Dubai with MSC, and it was amazing. But the only problem was we didn't go to Surbani Island. We were supposed to. But there was either a weather issue or a wind issue, or somebody couldn't go in. So we went to Qatar instead, which was still lovely. It was still amazing to go to Qatar though.
Yeah, Qatar's amazing. I only wish I had more time in those places like Qatar. And honestly, Abu Dhabi to me was even better than Dubai. I would say for people who are doing that cruise, right? Like don't overlook the other beautiful ports where they're less developed, and the air quality is better. There's fun things to do, and the people are really nice. The food is phenomenal. It's just such a thrilling destination.
The culture there is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. The food is amazing. Did you do we did the sand dune. Did you go out to the sand dunes in Abu Dhabi?
No, we didn't do the sand dunes. We were supposed to do it. We were supposed to do a yacht club excursion out there, but there was a limitation on our son's, I want to say it was his age. I think he was 15 turning 16, and they had a 17-year minimum age requirement. I thought that was very strange. So we didn't get to do it. I was really bummed because I would have loved to have experienced that, but all the more reason to go back.
100%. Like it was nearly 9 or 10 years ago. It's amazing. So it was kind of an afternoon. They collected us in the 4-wheel drives. There was a couple of them all parked up outside the ship. They brought us out into the desert. They let the tires out of they let the air out of the tires, and they just go dune bashing all the way up. You're going up the side of dunes, coming down the side. It's insane. It's intense. But then where they bring you to like a camel farm, and then they bring you to it. The main part then is like it's just this hotel in the middle of nowhere, and then there's all these sand dunes. Yeah, there's these sand dunes all around you. So before you go for dinner, you go up and you watch the sun setting over the sand dunes. It's the most beautiful sunset. And I love sunsets at sea, but this was a sunset I've never seen in my life.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then the food, like it was a buffet style setup for the food, and it was like you could just go up as much as you wanted. They had belly dancers, they had like local music, and then I think we got back to the ship maybe at like 11 or 12 at night, and then the ship didn't leave till maybe 2 in the morning or something like that. But yeah, it was so cool. And like on that, did you go to Oman on your one?
We did not. We went to Bahrain, and we didn't get off the ship that day because we were so behind on content. But we did not do Oman.
Yeah, we went to Kasab, and we went to, I can't remember the other place that we went to, but we went. There was 2 ports, and like they brought us to this beach. No one was on it because it was just in the middle of nowhere. But it was like I don't know how long. The water was crystal clear. It was insane. And
it's so cool. It sounds like it was probably what Serbanias would have been for you. So you probably kind of got to experience that anyway.
But I think on Serbanias Island, isn't there like a wildlife reserve or something there?
Yeah.
As well? Yeah.
You can take a safari to the interior.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do something like that, and I was so gutted because I was looking forward to seeing what animals were there and stuff like that. But look, Nick, it gives as you said, it gives a reason to go back and do it again and try it all over again. Especially because I think it was at least 9 years ago since we did it, so it's been a while.
Yeah, you got to go back.
Yeah. So let's talk about Aqua. So I've seen your photos. I've seen a load of people have been at it. So like, what was it like for you? What sets that ship apart from everything at the moment?
Yeah, it's pretty outstanding. So I think what sets it apart is that they really did listen to people after the feedback came in about Prima and Viva. And Prima and Viva were great classes of ships, the Prima class. They disrupted the flow of the ship, and they said, we're not going to go bigger. Bigger is not always better. We're going to go mid-size-ish, mid 3,000s instead of like 6,000. And they succeeded with that on Prima and Viva, but people wanted some bigger spaces, right? So what they did is they stretched the ship. They put some new blocks in, 2 11-meter blocks in, and made it bigger. And that really transformed everything because you still have an intimate size of a ship that's easy to navigate, but yet they created this feeling of like luxe because now the atrium feels huge, the pool deck feels enormous, especially with the absence of the go-kart track, right? And a lot of the lounges and bars and public spaces just feel a little bit easier to navigate. What I've been telling people about this ship that I think it's good for is it does have a very elevated feel. So if you're thinking like, maybe I'm normally a princess or celebrity cruiser and you like a little bit more of a mass market premium, this ship caters to that in a lot of ways. And you don't necessarily need to book the Haven to achieve that. The rooms are very elevated. All of the furniture outside and inside is padded and cozy and lovely. Even by the pool, you don't see those weird metal chairs everywhere. You have these like big fancy striped cushions and stuff. And it's weird. It's like, this is actually kind of fancy. So it achieves that, but yet for the kid in you or for teens and tweens, and I'm specifying teens and tweens for a reason, it is a dream come true because you've got the glow court, you've got the aqua slide coaster, you've got the coolest golf course ever, like a 2-story golf course that takes you all around the world essentially, and an arcade that is like, it's enormous. You walk in through this like space-like, it looks like you're in a Star Wars movie just at the entrance, and then you walk in and there's a bowling alley in front of you, there's classic arcade games like Space Invaders and Ms. Pac-Man, but you can play pool, you can do VR, everything is there. So I feel like it's like a dream ship for teens and tweens and a dream ship for couples. Families with little kids are gonna find a little bit less to do. They have a splash park, which is phenomenal, but I feel like they focus more on like teen, tween, and also the adults who like to act like teens and tweens, like me. You know, my family and I like a little bit of adventure on our cruises. We like to stay active, and if that means going to the glow court and playing basketball and soccer, we're gonna try to keep that up, but you can still have a fancy cruise. So it's gorgeous. It belongs here in the sunny weather. When we did the launch over in Portugal, I was on both international preview sailings, and that dreary weather made it harder to enjoy because it's pretty tough to get into the Aqua Slide Coaster in Lisbon when the wind is going 20 miles an hour and it's 50 degrees and it's raining. It's like, okay, I want to go inside. So it's a good Florida ship.
Okay, and I've never done Norwegian before. It's definitely on my list to do. I've done Princess, I've done MSC, I've done Celebrity, but I've never done Norwegian. But I think it is something that I want to do. What is the food on Norwegian? Like, how would you rate the food on Norwegian versus other ships?
At this stage of the game, I'd say it's outstanding. When I first started cruising with Norwegian about 15 years ago, I didn't really like their main dining room food. I always thought that their specialty dining was phenomenal, but then I felt like the dining room food and the buffet sort of lacked. Now, it's some of the absolute best food at sea. I was blown away, and this has been the case on many of my NCL cruises lately, is that the main dining room food is very high quality. They do also have a lot of free options that are kind of special and global that most cruise companies do not have. Like, they have Indulge Food Hall on some of the ships, which has food stations, and you order from a tablet and they bring it to you, but it's global. Like, you're gonna literally have a food truck. There's one that's like a tapas truck, and then you'll have one that's like a rotisserie. You'll have Indian, Mexican, Texas barbecue. They have a vegan option now. So I think the food is, I would give it like a 9.5 out of 10 Aqua specifically. Really come a long way. You don't have to do specialty to get a good food experience, but most people, because they book more at sea, they do a couple of nights of specialty mixed in there. And they just elevated their specialty offering where you can actually get 3 appetizers and an entree and 3 desserts. So you really can experience it and feel like you're getting a little bit more selection than you used to. Even though more at sea is not a cheap thing, it's good. The food is really good in my opinion.
Yeah, like that's something that I really look forward to when I'm going on a cruise, is to have like nice food, because when we first started cruising, we went with MSC. The food was okay, the buffet food was okay, but then when we went to Princess, it got a bit better and we enjoyed it a bit more. But when we went to Celebrity, it jumped. Like, that was a massive jump on Celebrity.
That's what I've heard. I've never cruised a Celebrity, but people say that it's a little more of a foodie line.
Yeah, like the food in Celebrity has been, like, I couldn't say, I would say 9.5, 9.6 on the 2 Celebrities that I've gone. I haven't had a bad meal at any point. And even in the buffet, you know, like, it's nice to go down and it's nice to get like your main dining and do that experience, but the food up in the buffet it's phenomenal. It's gorgeous. Like, you've got so much selection, and no matter what time, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, it's nice to, like, they have like the pasta station where you can get your own pasta with whatever you want mixed up in front. They've the omelet station. Like, there's loads of different things. It's really, really, so like that's always one thing that I want to know is, like, okay, what's it like on other ships?
Yeah, exactly. And the buffet really is a good sign of how the food is going to be in general. And when somebody offers a little bit more at their buffet, it's always nice.
Yeah, like I think on Celebrity, I don't think I've seen, like, even for the dessert station, they come out with like full cakes. Big full cakes. Now they have other things, but like you can literally go up and you can take half a cake if you want, because you can just go up and cut all the different cakes that they have, and every night it's the same thing, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, that's funny. That's classic. I love it.
So you obviously experienced Haven. So do you think the whole ship within a ship concept is going to be worth the splurge and spending the cash for people?
It depends on your budget. If you can afford it and you're looking for a more tranquil experience, and you might want the amenities of the ship, but you want to escape back or retreat back to something more chill and probably have a higher caliber of food, yes. The food in the Haven specifically it's hard to get better food on Norwegian than you already did, but it's absolutely spectacular in the Haven. I did not want to leave for other meals. It was so good, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that I was tempted to just completely isolate myself and have all my meals there. It's that good. So if you can afford it, sure. Is it worth stretching your budget and doing fewer cruises per year? I can't say that. I wouldn't say that for most people. If you can afford to do a few more cruises per year and that brings you joy instead of doing just one and doing it in the Haven, I would say, take the other cruises and save it for maybe a later phase of life when maybe you're in retirement, or maybe you're in a phase of life where you want to cruise less, but you want to cruise better. That would be the time when I'd say it's worth it. I also love the Yacht Club on MSC. I do find that the food in the Haven is much better, but I also absolutely love the Yacht Club product and would choose it as one of my top 5 favorite cruise experiences any day.
Okay. No, that's good. Like, cause we had the cruise that we did in Brazil and South America, we went to Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, was with MSC. We had, we're nearly at the point of being diamond members with MSC at this point.
Wow.
And yeah, we've cruised with them quite a lot, so we're still gold, but we're just shy of the diamond. But when we went to South America, it was a disaster with MSC, and I've spoken to people about it. It just wasn't the food, because we went at a time when it was carnival season. It was all the food was only catered because 99% of the passengers were Brazilian, and there was no English either. So we actually met 2 Americans on board at the welcome back cocktail, and they were the only 2 people we spoke to in English throughout the rest of the cruise because of that. Yeah.
So what kind of food were they feeding you? What was it?
Rubbish. It was every lunch, every dinner was exactly the same. It was burgers, it was fries, it was hot dogs. It was all cheap food, and it was all that kind of food, because all that they wanted to do was drink, and then it was always, I'm going to eat crappy food, and it was totally different to what MSC would do in the Med and all the rest of it. So it was, and it was bad, because I actually like MSC, and up until that point everything was good, but that was just a massive, we went out, I took a picture, and I actually shared it on my Instagram, because it was a concoction of, there must have been about 7 different types of meats or something in it, but I don't know what it was, and I was like, geez, this isn't something that you'd normally see on MSC, and there's nothing in English, so you can't figure out what it is. So it's
whoa!
It was insane.
How strange is that? And you don't strike me as someone who'd be picky about food. You want basic things, but you're not. I don't think you're just basic, right? Normal cruise food. All you want
is nice food. Yeah, even to try and get we went down to the main dining room one night, and I got falafels, I got some hummus with it, and I got a load of other things. The falafels came out, they were supposed to be hot, they were cold. It was just, the service was just a complete letdown, and I'd spoken to, I follow, and they follow me back, a load of the different entertainers and people who I met on the ship, and they spoke to me afterwards, because I put it up on my Instagram at the time, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And they were like, they don't care about anything else, only appeasing the guys that were on it just for those cruises, because even the week after we left, they actually built a stage up on deck, and it was even more carnival centric. It was if I'd gone a week later, we would have hated it even more, because it
would have been worse.
Yeah, so nobody. What annoyed it would have been fine only if they gave us the heads up, or they told us at the time of booking, just so you know when you're going there, it's not going to be what you're used to. The fact that there was no, with MSC, there's usually 6 or 7 languages.
Yes.
There was
no
nothing.
English.
I had booked English excursions; they were all cancelled without being told.
No.
So it was a disaster.
That's terrible. It's not acceptable, and it can be done. You know that they can notify people. When we first cruised on Diamond Princess to Japan, Princess is very much, a US-based company. They make you, before you book the cruise, they say in the contract, cruising in Japan on this ship is a more Japanese flavor. The entertainment, the ship itself, they actually make you agree to it. But even so, it was still phenomenal, and the food was fabulous. There's plenty of Western stuff. Yeah. But yeah, that's not acceptable.
Yeah, and like the one thing with MSC is they love when you give them positive reviews, but when you try and talk to them about something negative, they don't want to hear about it. Like I said,
Not responsive.
no, I spoke to my travel agent while I was on the ship. I messaged her and I told her what was going on, and she was like, "When you come back, write an email." And it was 2 pages long of all the issues that I had. And they just went back and there was like, yeah, look, there's nothing we can do. And they offered me, I think they offered me like 150 euros of a we're sorry gesture. But I was like, it cost me $3,000 in flights just to get here, apart from the ship itself. So it was crazy. Wow. Yeah. So
What a disaster.
I haven't gone with MSC since. I don't know if I'll go back with them, but I'll see. Like, I kind of, at the moment, I'm loving Celebrity. So I don't know if I'll go back with MSC just yet.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. So if you were planning your ultimate cruise itinerary and money was no object, what would you do? Where would you go?
I think I'd probably either do Antarctica or the South Pacific, 2 big bucket list items that are typically quite costly, both in getting there and then the cruise itself. I would choose a smaller ship, maybe on more of a premium or an expedition type line.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of going that way as well for the expedition ones. I think a lot of people are starting to do Antarctica as well.
Yeah.
It's just getting there then, and there's that to it as well.
Exactly.
For new cruisers that would be listening now, what would be the 3 tips that you'd swear by every time to make the most out of their cruise?
Yeah, oh my goodness sakes. For new cruisers, number 1, don't feel that you need to over plan everything and don't plan every moment of your day. Do not put yourself in an excursion in every port. Leave a little bit of time for downtime and exploration and mystery. Number 2, I would say never, ever, ever pack new shoes on a cruise. You can ruin a day, especially for women, right? We tend to think we need a fancy pump or something. You can ruin a day completely by having an uncomfortable shoe that hasn't been worn in. So if you're going to buy shoes, wear them for a few months or weeks before your cruise. Do not ruin an excursion. Don't ruin an evening. It's a real problem for people. They get excited, they buy new shoes, and they end up with bloody feet. I know it sounds terrible, but I think it's critical. And do your research. Pick the right cruise line for yourself. Like, picking the cruise line is probably the most important thing you can do, but do not put too much stock in bad reviews. Obviously there's outliers, like your terrible experience in South America where it was like, that is a very detailed example where you can actually read what the person is saying and know that would be a problem for you. But be very careful about just general whining. And there are a lot of negative people out there who, you know, if you search far enough, you will find negative stuff about every cruise company. Just be careful about how much stock you put into it. Watch for trends. If you're going to take a review seriously, make sure that you watch for trends, but don't let things like that influence you too much.
Yeah, no, 100%. And what would you think even now would be like, apart from the shoes and stuff like that like what's a packing mistake that people still make going on cruises?
Most people say that they regret it when they take too much stuff, when they overpack.
My wife.
Yeah. You end up becoming burdened by the stuff. And I know that sounds very weird and woo-woo, and I'm not saying that you should pack light necessarily, but I think that people need to give thought to what they pack. So you want to make sure that your outfit pieces match each other. The tops should match the bottoms. And you have to ask yourself, will I reach for this thing? Because if you are then burdened with a bunch of stuff, you have to unpack it. You have to pack it up. You have to schlep it on a flight, pay for overweight bag fees. It does come with a lot of regret for most people. There's a sweet spot though, in between, not having enough stuff and, having to do laundry. If you don't want to do laundry on a ship, that could be bad too. And then packing just right. So really give it some thought. And with packing, always make sure you think about the things that you can't re-wear as much and take more of that. So if you're going to pack more, take more undergarments, more socks, things like that you're not going to re-wear, but know that you're probably going to re-wear your evening wear. You're only going to wear it a couple hours. You might wear it again the next day and nobody cares if you're wearing repeat stuff. So yeah, that's probably what I would say. Overpacking.
Do you find as well like that, the whole like dressing up as Because like I know from a couple of ships now that seems to be kind of dropping down slightly, where people like I know from me, like I dress up for the photos and then after that I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to chase back and I'm just going to go back to normal. But like it seems to be happening a lot more on ships, I think, as well.
Yeah, aside from Cunard, I mean, yeah, I think all of the cruise companies have made it so that you have a choice now. And there's so much less of that feeling of it being a requirement. Even on lines like Princess and Holland America that run a little more traditional and where the demographic runs older, like Celebrity for You, right? Yeah, I think there's a lot more looseness around that, which is wonderful because now you get to choose. You get to choose. If you want to wear a tux to dinner, you could, and you'd look fantastic and you could rock it. But if you prefer to go casual, most cruise companies, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, no, I noticed that alright. The last couple of dinners that we had gone to for Celebrity, people weren't, even on the chic nights, people weren't even dressing up for it. So, but But you see, sometimes they have like 2 or 3 chic nights now on a cruise, and it's like, okay, I think one's enough.
I know. And then it depends on it's a lot of hassle. And if you're in a destination where you're touring a lot during the day, it's exhausting to go back and have to completely redo everything, right? Alaska is a good example of a place where people really get casual. They show up to dinner in the same outfit that they wore for the day. So a sweater and jeans are very common and totally acceptable. And you know, when you're in Europe too, if you're doing a port intensive itinerary or it's cold outside, you're going to be more likely to dress it down.
Yeah, like Alaska was actually the last cruise that we did last May, so it's and it was way more casual than any of the other ones that we did. But I like that. I think it's cool.
I think it's cool too.
So has there ever been a cruise that like totally surprised you in either a good way or a bad way, that like you were going in with like expectations of it and it just totally was the opposite?
Trying to think about that off the cuff, it's a little bit difficult for me to think back to that.
Or even a port. Was there ever a port that you were thinking was going to be amazing and it just wasn't living up to your expectations?
I think there's probably been some like that. I have to give this some thought. Let's come back to it. I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to look at my little document I save with all my cruises in it. And I think, you know, actually, I thought of one. I think the cruise that surprised me the most, I was most skeptical about, was actually a recent one. It was Virgin Voyages.
Okay.
I was like the biggest skeptic in the world about Virgin. I thought, oh, I don't know about this. You know, it's so different. It's not traditional. I love to cruise with my son and my husband. And I went on it alone, and I did a 5-night sailing, and I totally loved it. I thought it was amazing. Even as more of like a, you know, someone who doesn't really like raunchy entertainment. And I was like, you can do whatever you want on a Virgin cruise. You could stay out until 2 a.m, or you could sit in your hammock on your balcony for a week and chill and eat the very good food. So I think that one surprised me for the better. Let me think about this for a second too, because I know that there's more I could probably come up with. I'm trying to think of maybe ports that were kind of a fail for me. Oh, you know what? You know where I didn't have fun, that I think it was just a bad day, was Bermuda. Okay. We went to Bermuda on Norwegian Escape, and the weather was the wrong time of year. It was November. And everybody thinks, you know, you think Bermuda, you think sunny beaches, but the truth is, no, it's kind of out there in the Atlantic Ocean. It's not really tropical. And we were freezing. It was windy. We couldn't do anything. The weather was just too cold. And I completely felt like I got the short end of the stick with Bermuda. So I'll have to do a do-over on that one. But otherwise, I can't think of a cruise port where I'm like, you know, I just don't love it. If anything, you know, I think Nassau sometimes hits that way for me, because it is actually, there are dangerous elements in Nassau, and you have to be more aware as a tourist. But even there, I have things I love to do. If you know, you have to play it right. So yeah.
Yeah, like the very first Caribbean cruise that we did, it rained the whole time. Like,
oh my gosh. Isn't that the worst? Yeah, it can happen. Do you remember what time of year that was?
It was January. It was we picked January because we were like, okay, it's going to be crap weather in Ireland, so we'll go and we'll do a Caribbean cruise. But it rained, so like we started in Miami. Miami was nice. The weather in Miami was nice. Then we went to Jamaica. The ship docked, and I'm not joking. The rain was intense. They were handing out loads of different things to us. It was for like ponchos and the whole. It was that bad. Now either way, we were in Ocho Rios, so we were doing the Duns River Falls anyway.
Oh.
So we knew we were going to get wet, but we didn't expect we'd be getting wet before we even got there.
No.
It was
Oh
insane.
no.
Yeah.
That is weird for January. It's normal for hurricane season, obviously. Very normal from honestly for a very good portion of the year. But January, February, even March usually tend to be pretty dry.
Yeah, because
no.
Our second Caribbean cruise we went with Princess, we did, and it was a New Year's Eve one. So I think we left Fort Lauderdale on the 28th of December, and it was an 11-night cruise, and the weather was amazing the whole time. So it was
Same time of year.
pretty much the same time of year, but
Yeah.
the weather was amazing. Every port that we went to was just beautiful.
I had that happen on a Caribbean cruise with Princess. It doesn't matter what cruise line, obviously the weather, but it was my 50th birthday cruise. I was all excited. I was all jazzed about it. And we did the Southern Caribbean. Well, we did it over the Halloween week, right? So it was October 22nd through whatever. Literally, Ronan, same thing. It rained every day. It was miserable. There was no good beach days. And it was also extra muggy and humid. And so you don't think in the Southern Caribbean that can happen either. The Southern Caribbean is supposed to be famous for its dryness. No, you just never know.
And do you guys, have you done a lot of Caribbean cruises or Caribbean cruises, as we say?
Yeah, we've done a lot, but I haven't been to every Caribbean port. We are from the West Coast, so we probably had done the Mexican Riviera, 30 times versus the Caribbean maybe 10 or 15. So I feel like there's still more for me to explore in the Caribbean too.
Yeah, we've done two now. We've done East and we've kind of done West-ish kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, it is great, but I suppose for us, it's the flight over to try to get into Miami or to go to Fort Lauderdale. But then I think it's unless you're going specifically for the ship, sometimes with the islands that you're going to, it's kind of the same thing on each island.
Right.
It's
Very true.
The excursions, it's swim with dolphins or stingray and beach days, and so I suppose that's the only thing about if people are wanting to go to the Caribbean, it's kind of, we can do that in Europe by just going to the Med, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah, I think the exception to that for something a little more unique would be the Southern Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because the adventures get different down there. Yeah.
And what islands would they be going to there then?
Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao.
Okay.
Even the Eastern Caribbean, like St. Martin, St. Thomas, they're very different from the Western. So the Western, the Jamaica, Grand Cayman, and Cozumel route, the Jamaica, Grand Cayman, Cozumel Western route is very repetitive and it can get boring fast. But there's so much more to explore in the Eastern, and there's, you've even got the Saints, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, all of those can be beautiful as well. And they're much more lush, green, and there's a variety of activities down there.
Yeah, when we went on the second one, we went to St. Martin, we'd gone to Guadeloupe and a couple of those other places. Now, they were lovely, and we did a couple of excursions there, because I always wanted to go to that beach where the planes are coming in St. Martin.
Yeah, in St. Martin, Maho.
Yeah, that was amazing. Just to see that.
That's epic. Yes.
I was happy.
St. Martin is unbelievable, and there's so much to do on that island. On the French side, you can do everything from going to make your own perfume at a perfume factory, and there's beautiful food on the French side too, and the Dutch side is phenomenal food. I think you could eat your way through St. Martin for 2 weeks and not have experienced everything. It's incredible cuisine.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful spot. It is really, really nice. What's next for you? Have you got any exciting trips or any new projects that's coming up?
Yeah, I'm in the process of looking at an early season Alaska cruise. I always like to get up to Alaska if we can. That is a big content pillar, as we were talking about, for us. So we really love to get up there and get fresh new content for people and experience it as a family, because we just love the area. So I'm hoping that we'll be doing that soon.
It's Alaska is so far, Japan could be there up as number one when I go to Japan, but Alaska, I've never seen any scenery like it. I just love it.
It doesn't get old, does it? It just does not get old.
We normally like to try and go to see new places every time we cruise, but when we came back last year, we were like, okay, I think after Japan, we're going to go back to Alaska, because
I love that.
It's beautiful. It's
another strategy for you. I just thought of a strategy, Ronan.
Right.
Flights from Seattle to Yokohama are some of the cheapest out there.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. So if you fly from LAX, Seattle, or San Francisco direct to Tokyo, sorry, not Yokohama, Tokyo, Haneda or
Narita, is it?
or Narita, yeah, you could probably do that for $800 round trip.
Wow. Okay.
So what if you got yourself to Seattle and then got yourself over there, or even Vancouver, I wonder.
And
Cruise.
Is cruise season over in Alaska though? That would be the only
It's
issue.
over in October.
No.
October.
Like the cruise that we're going on starts the 30th of August, so might be something to look into.
Except that Japan is unbearably hot in August. We did it 2 years ago and I was dying. I hated it. It was like being home in Texas. It was like 100 with humidity and my scalp felt like it was going to burn off the top of my head. It was horrible.
So I'm going to be in trouble.
Are you going in August?
Yeah, we're going. Our cruise starts the 30th. We fly out the 23rd, so we're there from the 24th to the 30th in Tokyo. But it'll be fine.
You'll be okay. You'll be in it, but prepare for the heat because it is otherworldly. And once you do that, you will know what it's like to be in Texas in the summer. Just saying, it is the exact same weather. It looks the same and it feels exactly like Texas.
Okay, yeah, because I was in Vegas. I was in Vegas a few years ago, and it was 45 degrees Celsius when I was there. It was
Celsius. Oh.
It was sick. It was absolutely.
That
sick.
is hot.
Yeah, it was. I've never.
Which is
anything.
It's different though, and I know people say this. It's the dry heat versus the humid heat. And Vegas you'll cook an egg on the sidewalk kind of heat.
Yeah.
But the humidity is thick. You feel like you run your hand across the air, and it's like you could grab it. It's so gross. But still, it could be a future plan for you guys where if you've got a lot of time to burn and you can squeeze in that Alaska cruise, get yourself to Seattle, and then proceed to, that's what I would do.
Yeah, that would be something I might look into. I don't know, my wife would be happy with doing another trip that quick, but look, who knows?
Yes. Yeah, it is. It would be a sacrifice because you'd be doing both, right? You do Alaska and then just go straight to Japan.
That's not the end of the world either, though, is it?
Yeah, no, it would be great.
So I suppose if you could sum up what cruising has brought to you in one word, what would it be?
Wow. In one word?
In one word.
Oh, Ronan.
I think that's a good question, to be fair.
One, freedom.
Yes, I love it. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, so many other things came to mind, just like raising my son in an environment where he meets people from all over the world, both on the ship and the shore, made me think about just like the open-heartedness that we bring into life. When you cruise, you become more of an open-hearted person, I think. It's beautiful.
100%. Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
So, Sheri, where can people find you online? Give out all your details so that they can all make sure to follow you.
Yeah, we're CruiseTipsTV, all one word everywhere. Biggest, backlog of stuff to go look at would be YouTube. We have probably over 900 videos there. And then another fun place to hang out with us is on Instagram, CruiseTipsTV, because I post a lot of Instagram stories there and then I save them in little highlights. They're like mini vlogs. So if there's something you're looking for, like maybe you want to know about Miami hotels, there's a little bubble there that says Miami hotels. And then of course, Amazon is a great place to hang out with us too. It's a big part of what we do. Amazon.com/shop/CruiseTipsTV. People can come visit with us there.
Amazing. Sheri, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Ronan, and I hope you guys have a wonderful time in Japan and stay cool and keep making some great content for everybody. It's so helpful and wonderful.
You'll be seeing lots of colorful pictures, I'm sure, on my Instagram.
Yes, I love your colorful Instagram. I love the pop of yellow, and I hope it continues because it just makes me smile when I look at that. Amazing. When I look at your Instagram.
I'm sure I'll find loads of other colorful things there.
Yeah, good.
Thanks so much, Sheri.
Thank you.